This is the AI Executive Brief for Thursday, March 5th, 2026. I'm Stephen Forte. Three stories today, and they're all connected. Most companies are spending on AI without seeing results. Regulation is about to tighten the rules on how you deploy it. And the ones that are deploying it have security holes they haven't even measured yet. The thread here is simple. The winners in AI won't be the fastest movers. They'll be the most deliberate ones. Let's get into it. Story one. The AI ROI Crisis. PwC just published their 29th annual Global CEO Survey. 4,450 CEOs across 95 countries. And the headline number is brutal. 56% of CEOs say they've seen neither higher revenues nor lower costs from their AI investments. Only 12% report both. And it's not just POV. MIT's Generative AI Divide Study found that 95% of enterprise AI pilots deliver no measurable profit and loss impact. McKinsey says only 1% of organizations consider themselves mature in AI deployment. Forrester found only 15% reported a positive profitability impact, and fewer than a third can even link AI outputs to business benefits. So here's the paradox. BCG's AI Radar for 2026 shows 94% of companies plan to keep investing anyway. Corporate AI spend doubled year over year to 1.7% of revenue. Companies are doubling down on something most of them can't prove is working. Now, why is this happening? It's tempting to say the technology isn't ready, but that's not it. This is a project planning problem. Companies are launching AI initiatives that aren't tied to anything measurable. They're building pilots with no clear connection to revenue, cost savings, or productivity gains. And then they're surprised when leadership asks, "What did we get for this?" And nobody has an answer. Here's what the data tells us about the spending itself. 93 cents of every AI dollar goes to technology. 7 cents goes to people. That's a massive imbalance. McKinsey found that what they call trailblazer CEOs, the ones actually seeing returns, invest twice as much in employee AI capability as everyone else. They're not just buying tools, they're teaching people how to use them. So what should you do? First, every AI initiative needs a measurable outcome before you launch it, not after. Not, we'll figure out the metrics later. Before, you need to demonstrate value to leadership and to the rest of the organization. That's how you build the internal case that AI actually delivers on speed or cost. Second, follow what I call the consume, configure, build hierarchy. Start by activating pre-built AI features in software you already own, then configure those tools for your workflows. Then, and only then, build custom solutions. Most companies skip straight to building, which is the most expensive and hardest to measure option. And third, rebalance that 93-7 split. Invest in your people. Upskilling isn't optional anymore. It's the difference between a pilot that dies on the vine and one that scales across the business. Gartner is now predicting that 25% of planned 2026 AI spending will get deferred into 2027 as ROI pressure mounts. If you can't show results, the budget will move. Plan accordingly. Chapter 2, a regulatory deadline you need to know about. Next Wednesday, it's March 11th, two things happen. The Commerce Department must publish its list of what it considers onerous state AI laws. And the FTC must issue a policy statement on federal preemption of those state laws. The DOJ's AI litigation task force is waiting for commerce referrals to start filing lawsuits. Now, why does this matter for you? Because the state-level patchwork is already here, and it's expensive. Colorado's AI Act takes effect June 30th. If you're using AI for hiring, lending, housing, or benefits decisions, what the law calls consequential decisions, you'll need impact assessments. Violations carry penalties up to $20,000 each. California's SAGE 53 is already in effect since January 1st, requiring frontier AI safety reporting with fines up to $1 million per violation. Texas has its own rules under RIGA. Prohibited AI uses, mandatory disclosures, penalties ranging from $10,000 to $200,000. And if you serve European customers or have EU-based staff, the EU AI Act Phase 2 hits August 2nd with full compliance required for high-risk AI in employment, lending, and healthcare. Here's the problem for mid-sized companies specifically. You can't afford an army of compliance lawyers. But if you operate in multiple states, you're facing simultaneous compliance with California, Colorado, Texas, and potentially New York rules, each with different requirements and different penalty structures. That's a real operational burden. The federal preemption fight might eventually simplify things, but eventually means months or years of litigation. You can't wait for that. So here's the practical move. Build your compliance framework around the strictest standard, which right now means California or the EU. If you meet those requirements, you'll likely satisfy everything else. It's more work up front, but it's less expensive than trying to maintain separate compliance for every jurisdiction. One more thing, and this catches people off guard. Cyber insurers are now conditioning coverage on documented AI governance practices. If you don't have a formal AI governance program, you risk coverage denials at your next policy renewal. For a mid-sized company, that's not just a compliance problem, it's a balance sheet risk. Put it on the board agenda. Story 3. Every enterprise AI system has critical security vulnerabilities. That's not hyperbole. That's the finding from Zscaler's Threat Labs 2026 AI security report. They analyzed 989.3 billion transactions across roughly 9,000 organizations. And when they red-teamed enterprise AI systems, every single one had critical vulnerabilities, 100%. The median time to first critical failure, 16 minutes. 90% were compromised within 90 minutes. One system failed in 1 second. But here's where it gets real. Let me give you 2 examples that show what this actually looks like when it goes wrong. Samsung 2023, semiconductor engineers pasted proprietary chip design source code into ChatGPT for debugging and optimization. Another employee uploaded a confidential meeting recording. Samsung's competitive IP, representing billions in R&D investment, was now sitting in OpenAI's training data. Samsung banned ChatGPT company-wide after that. But the damage was done. McDonald's, 2025. They were using an AI chatbot called Olivia from Paradox.ai for recruitment. Security researchers guessed the admin password, and I wish I were making this up. The password was 123456. They accessed the back end and found 64 million job applicant records exposed. Names, emails, phone numbers, interview transcripts. An IDER vulnerability meant they could access any applicant's data just by changing the ID number in the URL. McDonald's called it unacceptable from a third-party provider. But those 64 million people don't care whose fault it was. And it's not just those cases. Researchers showed that Slack's built-in AI features could be tricked through prompt injection into leaking data from private channels the attacker didn't have access to. And just last month, a critical vulnerability in N8N, a popular AI workflow automation platform, scored a perfect 10 on the severity scale. Any authenticated user could escape the sandbox, steal every stored credential, API key, and secret. On their cloud service, one malicious user could breach every other customer's data. The scale of data exposure is staggering. Zscaler tracked 18,033 terabytes of corporate data flowing to AI platforms, a 93% year-over-year increase. Grammarly alone absorbed 3,615 terabytes. ChatGPT received over 2,000 terabytes. There were 410 million data loss policy violations tied to ChatGPT, including social security numbers, source code, and medical records. 77% of employees paste data into AI tools. 82% do it through personal accounts that bypass corporate oversight entirely. So what's the solution? You sandbox it, treat AI deployments like any other enterprise software with governance, access controls, and audit trails. Run AI initiatives in isolated environments separated from core infrastructure, enforce least privilege access, and default deny egress policies. Write an AI acceptable use policy, explicit guidance on what data can and cannot go to external AI platforms. Deploy AI gateway controls that monitor traffic, block unauthorized tools, and catch sensitive data before it leaves. Commission an AI security audit to inventory every AI application you're using, including the AI features embedded in tools you already have, and put AI data security on the board agenda, not as a vague risk, but as a quantified exposure tied to your cyber insurance renewal. Here's the big picture. 56% of CEOs can't show ROI on AI. A wave of regulation is about to reshape the rules, and the security data says every enterprise AI system can be broken in under 16 minutes. These aren't 3 separate problems. They're 3 symptoms of the same thing: moving fast without being deliberate. Measure everything. Build compliance into the foundation. Sandbox and govern every deployment. The companies that do this won't just avoid the pitfalls, they'll be the ones that actually capture the value everyone else is chasing. That's the AI Executive Brief for Thursday, March 5th. I'm Stephen Forte. If this was useful, share it with someone who needs to hear it. I'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, stay sharp.